Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a great guest on, Wendy Hickey, and I am interested in talking about this topic because a lot of times people don't really marry the two art and business. And, I think it's a gross misconception because as any of you know that have been following the show, we had a musician on a few weeks ago. One of the things that he talked about was just how, the creative side of music and just that being able to express yourself actually was a critical thing that allowed him to be successful in his business in a marketing agency. And I think, artists have a unique skill that not everyone has, not everyone is born with. And when they can marry that unique skill with business, it is amazing. So I definitely wanted to bring on Wendy because she is doing some amazing work at ArtPop of really working with artists and really showing them a different side of the world of art and how it can blend with other worlds. So, Wendy, thank you for coming on the show.
Sure, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Now, before we jump into the details of Art Pop, tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into, being the president of Art Pop.
Okay, yeah. So my background is 20 plus years in the outdoor advertising industry, and I use that terminology, outdoor advertising, and at the end of the day, it means billboard advertising. So I started my career in 1998 with a company known as Adams Outdoor Advertising, and I worked in sales roles. So I was a local account executive. We call the sales folks account executives. So I was an account executive for many years. Also was a sales manager, a general sales manager, a general manager, and moved lots of times with Adams Outdoor Advertising. And so, my career was in selling billboard advertising to local, national, and regional advertisers, as well as managing sales teams and helping them learn about out of home and teaching them how to sell out of home and those types of things.
Okay, awesome. Now, I'm always interested in, what made you really pick kind of that field of, outdoor advertising, or was it something you kind of fell into?
It was something I fell into. So I was in the retail world for a lot of years. So I was a retail store manager in fashion merchandising and retail sales and retail sales management. And I knew that that wasn't going to be for me forever. And I have the funniest story. I met someone who interviewed and was offered a position with two companies in the same day. And the company she chose not to choose was Adams Outdoor Advertising. And she said, Wendy, I don't know what it is, but I think that you need to go talk to that company. And when I went for my first interview, I mean, this was a long time ago. When I went for my first interview, it was it was just wonderful. I walked out of the door of that interview going, I'm going to work at that company. There's just no doubt in my mind about it. And so I started off in local sales, and just a tremendous organization. They're the fourth largest billboard company in the nation. And so I started with them in South Carolina and ended up being promoted and moved and had just a tremendous career and absolutely loved my corporate role.
Awesome, awesome. It's very interesting. I mean, when you say, working in with, fashion apparel to now marketing and advertising in the billboard space. Did you feel like, it was because you had this creative edge about you, or I guess, was it something else that drew you to those fields?
For not so much in the retail side. I think, I did have a lot of interest when we would have floor plan changes and, creating a store that was appealing and customer service and all those kinds of things. But for me, when I went into the out of home advertising world, what was always something that got me excited was the creative department. So I was one of those salespeople who really had my heart in the creative department and building relationships with clients. So as opposed to being, what you think of in typical sales, my goal was always to make sure that the client's message was the best message that was out there, that it was beautiful creatively, and it was also on point and memorable, because you have this massive canvas of a billboard, and you can make so much of an impact with it when it's done right. So I was the one who would meet with my client and really get down to what it is that they wanted and needed, to advertise their product or service. And then I would spend a tremendous amount of time in the creative department with our art directors and graphic designers and talk to them about what was the most important thing so that we could get to the core of the message. So I was the one always pushing the clients to, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And so that we would have just really great ads. So there was something that I was always pulled towards the creative department and the creatives in the company. And I think that's a little different than most salespeople, so that was something that I felt made me even more successful, was to truly care about the customer's message and to make sure it was on point.
Gotcha. Now, and that starts to bring us down the road of how did ArtPop come into the picture for you?
So I was Adams transferred me to Pennsylvania in early 2000, and I was a sales manager for Adams Outdoor Advertising in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, and I was serving on a board of directors for a local arts council, and thinking to myself, what am I going to do to really fulfill a board role and serve our local arts community? And it was so great because this was like early 2002, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? And it was really like the light bulb went off, and it was an epiphany of, I have billboards. Why don't I give billboards to local artists? So it was like the light bulb went off. And at the time I was a sales manager. So I went to my GM and just asked her, I said, hey, I have this idea. Can we give local artists any billboards that are unsold in our inventory? And, because that happens from time to time, that you might have one open or two open. And so she said, sure, go do it. So I would literally, it was so grassroots back in those days, I would come up to you and say, if you can pay for your vinyl that wraps around the billboard, we'll print your art on that instead of an ad and put and feature you. Oh, wow. So that's how it all started. And back then that was very grassroots. There was no name, there was no mission, there was no nonprofit. It was me working as a sales manager, trying to do the right thing as a board, as somebody who served on a board, and making sure that local artists in our community in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania were seen and known.
Okay, awesome. Now, when you started doing that, what was kind of the reception that artists had when you first brought the idea up?
They were like, are you serious? I can be on a billboard? Because when you think about billboards, you think about Coca-Cola and Budweiser or, Wells Fargo Bank, or, you think of these huge, huge brands and the presence that they have. And, thinking about their own art on something that big that, millions of eyeballs are going to be on every single day. They were just thrilled. They were over the moon about it. So it was, I knew back then I was on to something, and I knew that in my future that would be a path that I wanted to go down, but I still had a lot of time in my career that I was probably at that point 5 years into my career as a sales manager. And so as Adams would move me around the country to accept different positions or run new plants or whatever that might look like, I would do this again and again. And where it all took shape was I was living in Michigan, and I was in a sales manager role, decided to make a big transition. I ended up working for a really small company and selling digital billboards in Times Square. Wow. And so I left that. I left Adams. I had the opportunity for a short period of time to work in Times Square, which is a billboard girl's dream, right? And did that for a little while. And the company that I was working for ended up having some properties in Charlotte. And I had always wanted to live in Charlotte. So I transferred to Charlotte. And of course, Charlotte is Adams Outdoor Advertising's home, one of their many homes across the country. So I went back to work for Adams, but I knew when I was leaving I was living in Michigan, moving to Charlotte. I knew when I got here that the first thing that I was going to do was get very serious about ArtPop. I had a great time with it, had done a lot of wonderful things with it, but I didn't want it to be what I was doing on the side anymore. I wanted to get very serious about ArtPop. So we named ArtPop because before that it didn't have a name. And the pop in ArtPop is public outdoor project, because everything that we feature artists on is outdoor advertising. So outside of your home, on billboards, newsstands, bus sides, bus shelters, airports, all of those types of things. So I did exactly that. I moved to Charlotte. I went back to work with my former employer, Adams Outdoor Advertising, pitched the idea in Charlotte. And so almost simultaneously with me moving to Charlotte, ArtPop Street Gallery was born. And so we're going into our 8th year of ArtPop Street Gallery in Charlotte. And then of course we have done this in lots of cities across the country since then. So it's just been a beautiful journey, but I now work full-time at ArtPop Street Gallery. It's not my side hustle anymore. May 1st of 2018, I became our first employee. So I was a full-time advertising national sales account executive at the end of my career, traveling all across the country, working with large brands, and doing that by day, building ArtPop in my living room at night, pretty much working 24/7 for lots of years, and then became an employee finally on May 1st of 2018. So I'm truly living a dream. Yeah.
Wow, that is an amazing journey. I mean, just to, like I said, to build up something that, that didn't exist before, and to make space for it, because I think it's a concept that not a lot of people would have expected, like, oh yeah, that's a predictable thing to go into. So it is amazing to see what you've done. Now with ArtPop, I want to talk a little bit more about, kind of what ArtPop is doing in Charlotte. Like, what are some of the projects or some of the different things that people can see to really experience, like, what ArtPop is?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do every year and around the fall time period is we run an open call for local artists within the 12 county Charlotte region. So 10 counties in North Carolina, 2 in South Carolina, and that make up what you call the Metrolina region. And artists submit their art. And then each year we jury in 20 artists. So we have a panel of judges. The panel of judges changes every year, but it's always art people from the arts community. And we choose 20 artists, and those 20 artists receive a $3.3 million advertising campaign collectively.
Wow.
And so what that means is 20 artists are featured on highway billboards with Adams Outdoor Advertising. They're featured on specialty digital displays through a company called Audience Media. And those are at places like Ballantyne Village, Ray Farms, Waverly, mixed use development type places. And then we're also on newsstands on the streets of Uptown. So where you see those big news racks that have news publications in on one side, the side that faces the street or the cars on the street is the side that has some sort of advertisement on it. Well, you'll see 10 of those with ArtPop Street Gallery artists on them. And then we provide education for artists. We leave one of those 20 spots. We jury in one senior high school student artist who's going to be, after high school graduation, transitioning on to study the arts in college. And that artist gets all the adult benefits as well as a scholarship.
Wow, that is amazing. That is awesome. Now, I guess I'm curious with, 8 years in existence, what have been some of the, the reception or some of the, I guess you say, the afterlife or the effect that it's had for the artists who have participated?
Oh my goodness. There's so many wonderful stories. The story we hear over and over again, no matter what city we're in, no matter how many times we've done this, the initial thing that happens to the artist is confidence. And I love that because I think we're always more powerful when we're confident, right? So all of the artists say it just automatically validated them. And made them feel more confident in their creation, because a lot of artists do suffer from, am I good enough? Is my art okay? Are people going to like it? So it all automatically gives them a sense of confidence. And then the stories from there just build and build. So to artists having more people go to their websites and social media, looking them up because they saw them on a billboard, more sales, more opportunities. you name it, from people being part-time artists to be able to become full-time artists after being in ArtPop Street Gallery. Now that is our nirvana. That is like, that's as good as it gets. When we do that, that's when we've done our job.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So if someone is, interested in, following the story or seeing what's the latest on what's going on with ArtPop, where can they find you guys online? And also, where can they find you in the city to see the artwork?
Yeah, so online, our website is artpopstreetgallery.com. On LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram, we're at ArtPop Street, the @ symbol at ArtPop Street Gallery. And then we also just launched our YouTube channel just last week. So we have a YouTube channel, ArtPop Street Gallery, as well. And then as far as where you'll see ArtPop, honestly, if you go outside of your home, whether you're riding your bike, you're walking, you're in your car, or you're going to the airport, you're going to see us. So we're on highway billboards, we're on the streets of Uptown, we're at several different shopping centers, we're at the Charlotte Airport throughout gates A through D on digital displays that are either up high, above your head, or the digital charging stations in the gates in the waiting areas.
Awesome.
So you really can't miss us at all if you're getting outside of your home.
Awesome. That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, before we wrap up, one question I always like to ask every guest is, when you think about, your journey from, going from, working full time and doing this on the side to then making that step to being full time and leading this organization and taking things to the next level, what's 2 pieces of advice that you would share with other business owners?
Well, I would say one is to always ask for help. There's a lot of great people out there who are willing to help or get into some groups or organizations. Like we participate with Innovate Charlotte and get, so I think asking for help, don't be shy, don't be afraid to ask for help, and in leadership where you may need it. There's so many people who are out there to help you. And then I would say be fearless. Just do it. I think it's very scary leaving a tremendous career that, you have all the benefits and a great paycheck and all of the things. But I think if, you talk about, I think people talk about this all the time, following your bliss. I think, if you really do have something that you're passionate about, it will work out. But it's not for the faint of heart, I can tell you that. And if you're not really willing to work extremely hard to make that happen, it might not be for you. But I think that, and then being open to ideas and change. Like if it's okay if I talk about this, yeah. we have 2 things that we do at ArtPop. The traditional program that everybody has known for years, where we make artists household names and create city-sized galleries throughout the communities that we serve. And that's what we call our cities programs. But through COVID, interestingly enough, is when we've made I think one of the smartest shifts we've ever made. And I'm super excited about it. And it's a new division of ArtPop, and it's called Inspiration Projects. And what that is, it's completely on mission and on point with our serving local artists, but we're creating paid opportunities for local artists while creating a sustainable business model for ArtPop at the same time. And essentially what that means is we offer turnkey solutions to any art project that somebody could dream up. So if you had something that you wanted to create, but you weren't sure to do that, we want to be the resource that you come to make that happen. And most of it is work through corporations, corporations who want to make a mural, corporations who need awards created, you name it, we can make that happen with the relationships that we have with local artists. We're taking a need, giving that project a paid project to a local artist, and then we're managing it so that we're also getting a management fee donation to ArtPop Street Gallery to keep our doors open as well, because nonprofit or not, we have to have money coming in to keep our organization running. But we're doing all we can to give the majority of those dollars to the artist who's doing all the work and creating, and then we're managing the project so that everything is delivered on time and just as asked for, if not better.
Awesome. That is amazing. And so I want to say, Wendy, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And thank you so much for coming on the Business Talk Library to share your story, give us updates on what's going on with Art Pop, and to share your wisdom. It's been a pleasure having you on, Wendy.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like our content, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want to see more of our exclusive content, you can subscribe and become a member on patreon.com/Business Talk Library. Hey, the Business Talk Library is the place where business makes sense.